Hey guys, Lord here, back again with another action figure review, and today we are sadly coming to the conclusion of my Heroes of the Storm reviews with good old Thrall, the big brick of an orc from World of Warcraft. That said, this of course also brought to us by the fine folks over at NECA Toys, and when there was no Mythic Legions orcs, there was Thrall. And the kind of crappy looking orcs from Jack Specific's World of Warcraft movie line, but that's besides the point. So before I get too far ahead of ourselves, why don't we cut right to the chase and get into the meat and taters of this review and take a look-see at all Thrall has to offer in terms of accessories, starting off with this big hammer. I mean, this is his only accessory, but you can, of course, pop it apart so you can put it into his hand, much like the Frostmourne sword that came with Arthas Menethil, the Witch King. That said, this thing will leave a mark on you. It's pretty stiff. But that's it. That's all you get. You don't even get a removable ponytail like Illidan. See? It doesn't come out. So don't take it out. You will probably snap it and cry like a bitch. But, yeah, Thrall was like one of the last figures in this line, along with Sylvanas, who I used to have. Mistakenly got rid of it, but she was also kind of broken, so that's kind of why I got rid of it. I'll have to try and track her down and be a little more careful next time. And then what else is it? Is it Raynor? He's like a dude from StarCraft, like a big mech suit. I don't have that guy either, but this guy was one of the last figures to come out in this line. He looks really cool, but don't expect to pose him for crap. His ponytail does rotate, so that's cool. His head actually gets decent range, despite his beard and things. He can actually rotate his head around just fine. So that's nice. His braids in the front here are actually wired, so you can pose those, which is also very nice. And then for his shoulders, he's got these big disc hinges. Go out about that far, down that far. You can rotate them forward and back. It's got a single jointed elbow with rotation, ball jointed hands, wrists, whatever. Moves a little bit more than Arthas Menethil, despite how bulky he is. I'm gonna tell you, be careful with the elbows when you're pushing the arms down. I have a tight right shoulder on mine, I try to push at the bicep, not down here at the forearm. You shouldn't do that on any figure. You're just asking to snap something, but with old NECA stuff, you want to be a little extra careful, maybe. He does have a waist twist. A little bit of back and forth, but barely, anything to write home about. He does have T-jointed hips that will kick out a little bit, forward and back a little bit. His hips don't stick together like Arthas and even Illidan to an extent. He does have a thigh cut. He does have a knee swivel with, you guessed it, single jointed knees that barely do crap. So you get like 2 notches out of that. That's all you get. And then he's got a ball joint in the foot. That really doesn't afford much movement either. So not the most articulated thing ever. But, it looks cool on the shelf. It didn't cost me a fortune to get. And I've had him longer than most of the Mythic Legions figures I have. So before there was Mythic Legions, there was Thrall. Is he perfect? No, but do I care? Not really. He looks cool. And that's all that matters to me. That said, after reviewing all these, I really want to try and track down Sylvanas for a good price. I'm hoping that since there's some third-party versions of her, I can get one for a decent price. But if anyone's got a line on that, let me know. But with that being said, I think it is time now that we move right along and take a look at some size comparisons. First up, here is good old Thrall alongside the only other Heroes of the Storm figures we've taken a look at on the channel this week. And actually, I lied in the Illidan video. I do have Thrall, so if anyone wants to see me take a look-see at the faceless gold Moon Knight looking dude from Diablo 2, is it? I do have him, but I do not have Sylvanas, and I don't have the StarCraft characters, unfortunately. But As you can see, Thrall is, I think, the tallest. He's definitely the chunkiest. He is a brick. Like I've said it throughout all these videos, Thrall is a freaking brick. And compared to Illidan and Arthas Menethil, who, again, we've already looked at here on the channel, he appears to be the biggest. So there is that. I wish NECA made stuff like this again instead of just turtles, 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 and Cooper Kit. Bringing in our two regulars, we got the Mythic Legion's Brother Mandibilith and the infamous Element Spawn, who, well, if we count his ponytail, isn't towering over everyone, but that's cheating, so we're gonna say is towering over everyone anyways, because good old Simmons here towers over all most of the time. So with that being said, it's time now that we wrap things up with some final thoughts. Overall, and while he is no Mythic Legion's orc from the fine folks over at Four Horsemen Studios, before I had Mythic Legion's orcs, good old Thrall from the fine folks over at NECA Toys here is all I had. And for the time, he was really freaking cool. He looked cool. He posed, again, well enough, just like Arthas Menethil from yesterday. But also, you know, it scratched the fantasy itch that I had at the time. I wanted some fantasy figures. NECA was putting out these World of Warcraft / Heroes of the Storm figures. I picked them up. Simple as that. Does it hold up as well nowadays as it did back then? Not exactly. I mean, the articulation is very lacking and, for lack of a better term, much to be desired, but for the time, it was fine. So, with that being said, hope you guys enjoyed this review, and until next time, I'll catch you guys later.